Hello, my most amazing artists. I'm coming to you today from my kitchen. It's warm down here. It's not warm in a lot of my house right now because it's so cold. We are going to do some wonderful paper projects today. I hope that you are staying safe and warm, and we're just going to have fun. So here we go. Hello, amazing artists. Coming to you today from my kitchen, which you'll probably see at the beginning of the video too. And we're gonna do some paper crafting today. So for this project, you'll need paper, a pair of scissors, and a pencil. If you have trouble finding paper, you can use paper from your junk mail. The mail will probably still come today, so wait for your mail person to come in and ask mom and dad, if you can have the junk mail and use that paper. I just have some really cheap copier paper, printer paper, and so that's what I'm going to be using. So we're going to start from the easiest project, and we're going to move on to harder and harder and harder projects. So let's get started. A lot of this involves folding, so you have to be careful when you're folding to match up the edges. So the first thing we're going to do is make a Valentine's Day heart. So if you'll fold your paper like so, I call this hamburger fold in my classroom. And it basically looks like a birthday card, opens like a book. And for your heart, we're going to be drawing it here on the fold. So the fold is right here. I'm going to draw half of a V. And then I'm going to come up as far as I want and draw a hill and connect it with the V, okay? Then you get your scissors and cut it out. This is like one of the easiest projects. And Valentine's Day is coming up, so you could make this for someone. Ta-da, a perfect heart, and you can write on it, you can color it, you can use your crayons or markers or whatever you've got at your house to make it pretty. Okay, let's go on to the next one. The next one I want to do is a heart chain, and they kind of look like this, and they do involve some different folding. So let's go over that. So get your paper, and I usually hold it portrait while I'm doing this kind of fold, and I'm folding it like a fan. So I'm going to lift up just a little bit of the paper, not a whole lot, and fold. And I'm trying to keep it as neat as possible. So so I start in the middle and then I go out and out. That helps me. Then I'm going to flip this over where the fold is underneath. And I'm going to do a fold on the other side. Now this is a little bit harder. I'm gonna try really hard to match the paper fold to the end of the paper to the new fold. And then I'm going to check it, press out, check it, and press out. There we go. So I'm basically making a fan fold. Then I'm gonna flip the paper over again where the fold is underneath. Grab everything I folded and fold again. Try to make sure you're as close as possible. Obviously, I'm not perfect. That's fine. I'm gonna flip it over again, and I just keep doing this until I get to the end of the paper. And it looks like I'm there. So now you have a fan, if you'd like to have a fan, or you have the perfect thing to make hearts with. Now, you have to be really careful when you're cutting out a heart chain like this to not cut the sides of your paper, to not cut the folds. If you do that, your chain will be cut. So when you draw your heart, and you can get several heart chains out of one piece, you start by drawing a V. So find the middle of the bottom of your paper with your pencil and write a V for Valentine. And then you're gonna leave a bit. Leave some here and some here so your heart stays connected to each other. So go up just a little bit and then make your hills. 1, 2 hills, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and snip this off and use this for something else, probably another heart chain. And I'm gonna start cutting. So with my scissors, I'm gonna trim. I'm not cutting here. Gonna skip the fold, come up to the top. Remember, you don't wanna cut the fold. So I'm gonna skip down a little bit, cut the bottom. All right, we get all this out of the way, and then this is the best part, you guys, opening it up. Look at that. You could decorate this for someone. You could make a whole chain of these. Like you could connect them together. You could tape them together or glue them together and decorate your house for Valentine's Day, or just make it a little present for someone. These are really fun, easy crafts to make that are really cheap. You just need paper and scissors basically. So, all right, next thing I'm gonna make is a little bit harder. So this is difficulty's a little bit harder. We're gonna do a paper chain boy and maybe a girl. I don't know, haven't decided yet. We'll try to do both. A little bit harder. So I'm using my paper that I had before that I cut for my heart. And I want to make sure that I have connections. Otherwise my chain won't come out as a chain, it'll just come out as individual people. So I'm gonna have my feet be the connections. So I'm gonna come out just a little bit on both sides of the paper. Then I'm gonna make a V, upside down V. Then I'm gonna move up a little bit because I want this connection right here on both sides. That's gonna be my feet for my boy. And then I'm gonna draw a line following this line for the leg. Then I'm gonna make 2 straight lines for the body. And then I'm gonna make a line coming down for the arm and another one coming down for the arm. I'm gonna leave room here, move up. Do the same thing over here. I might shorten that just a little bit. Make the curve of the shoulders and then make a head, okay? All right, let's see how this one turns out. This one is harder to cut. So first I'm gonna trim off the bottom, even with the feet, and then I'll cut this V out. I can snap it, and then pull it out. Then I'm gonna go through here. Remember not to cut on your folds. And come up. It's a little bit harder to cut here. You might have to get someone to help you. Okay. Okay, I'm almost done. You know what? Let's see what it looks like before I'm done. I'm kind of curious. Oh, look at that. Okay. Fold it back up again and get finished. Ugh, it's hard to get into that neck, but just do the best you can. All right, now for the reveal. Ta-da! Ooh, that one looks even better than the first one I made. Yeah, so a lot of times if you'll do it a couple of times, it'll get better and better. Awesome. Okay, you can make a girl, but instead of cutting the V, you would just leave this. You would not cut that V out of the middle. So if you're making a girl, you wouldn't cut this middle out, so it would be a skirt. See what I mean? This would still be in there. If I have it, there we go. So this would be what your girl would look like. She would just be wearing a skirt. All right, let's go on. You know what, since I talked about making fans, let's make a fan before we do our last project. So if you want to make an actual fan, because this is kind of big, for a fan. I had to make it big so I could make, you know, my design on there. But if you want to make a fan, you need to fold really thin. And you'll be folding for just a little while. Flip it over. We used to do this a lot when I was in elementary school. Flip it over. So this is the same technique I showed you earlier. I'm just using a much thinner strip. And I just keep turning my paper over. Keep turning it over. And if you want, you could make a picture first on one side of this and then fold it into the fan. And then when you open it, that picture would be on the fan. It's a little harder to put a picture on it after you fold it, but you could always do that too. And you just keep flipping it over and over again. Flip it over again. Just keep going. One other thing, when you do this, you might want to make sure your hands are clean, because every time you fold, you're rubbing this, and if you've got dirt on your hands, it's going to look, you know, kind of yucky. And if you're giving this to someone, you don't want to give them a yucky, dirty fan. All right, now that I folded it like a million times, you're going to pinch the end and then just pull it out like this, and now you have a fan. Not that you'll need a fan today because it's so cold, but you know. All right, our last project, friends, is one of my favorites, and when I taught first grade and second grade, it was one of their favorite paper projects to do as well. We're going to make snowflakes. So this project is a little bit harder with copy paper because you're going to be cutting through a lot of paper. So I'm going to give you some tips, and if you have trouble with this, you can use newspaper for this project. You can use coffee filters for this project. Coffee filters are actually my preferred paper for this project because it's a lot easier for younger people to cut through. But I don't have any coffee filters at my house. We drink tea. Coffee gives me horrible indigestion. So we're just gonna have to use what we've got. But newspaper works really well too. It's thin enough that it's not so hard to cut. So when you're starting with a snowflake, you can't use a rectangle piece of paper. You have to start with a square piece of paper. So to make a square, you're gonna take one end of the top. I have this in landscape. And if you can hear my dog snoring, I'm sorry. And you're gonna pull this down all the way to the edge and match it, and then make a fold. Okay, you should, this leftover piece right here, we're gonna cut this off. This way we have a perfect, well, a pretty perfect square of paper. Close enough. Okay, now when I open this, I have a square of paper. So now I'm gonna just fold that part again. And then this paper is gonna get pretty thick as you fold it. Hey, bless me. So I'm gonna go point to point on this triangle. And then I'm gonna fold. I'm gonna go point to point again. Oop, get it as close as you can. Ooh, it gets really hard to fold the thicker it gets. And the last fold, I'm gonna take this point and put it over here, just like this, okay? Really thick at this point. This is why it's so hard to cut with the scissors, because the paper's really thick. So if you've done it, I haven't done the greatest job, as you can see, but that's okay. All right, then I'm going to trim off this excess and get rid of that. And now I am ready to cut designs in this to make a snowflake when I open it up. So I'm gonna start at the bottom and I'm gonna round it. I'm just gonna cut just like that. You don't want to cut a whole bunch off of the sides or your snowflake will it won't be all staying together. So I'm just gonna cut, and if you'll use the very, very inside of your scissors for this, this is the strongest point of this lever. Scissors are a lever, so if you'll use the very inside, that will be the strongest part and the easiest for you to cut with. There you go. You can't use the tips of this, they're just not strong enough right there. This is where most of the strength is. Okay, leave a space, go to the next, and just cut little pieces out. Okay, when you are going to the other side, don't forget to leave spaces there too. And the best thing about this project is every snowflake is different that you will cut. And that is so true even in nature. And then I like to cut this middle part so there'll be a hole in the middle of my snowflake. So before I open this, a long time ago, people didn't realize that every snowflake was different. They just thought they were pretty much all the same, or there might only be like 6 or 7 differences. And a man who is nicknamed Snowflake Bentley decided he was going to take pictures of snowflakes and try to find 2 that were the same. He could not find 2 snowflakes that were exactly alike. He spent his whole life taking pictures of snowflakes because he just thought they were so beautiful, and he never did find 2 that were the same. And science has now proven him right. There are no 2 snowflakes alike, which is absolutely fascinating when you think about it. So let me open this snowflake and I'll show you what it looks like. Here we go. I'm just gonna unfold it just like so. And it's harder to get that. There we go. Look at that. This is my favorite part when you open it and see what it looks like. That makes my heart so happy. And my first graders just loved, this is like the big reveal. It's almost like magic. So have fun making snowflakes today. We definitely have weather for it. One thing we really like to do, and get your parents' permission, is to tape these up in our windows. That way it looked like snow was falling in our classroom. So there you go, guys. Remember, no 2 are alike, and none of yours will be the same, and that's a good thing. Have a wonderful day today. Stay warm. I love and miss you all, and I will see you very soon. Bye-bye.